He has a quick temper and a rage as explosive as the fires of Vulcan. He hones his fury to give him superhuman strength and power. He is the youngest Wolf Lord to lead one of the greatest companies of the Space Wolves. He is the ferocious Ragnar Blackmane. Unique character fans, action figure lovers, this is Sprues and Studs, and we are in the middle of our special character review block, and we are going to be bringing you more and more special character review and content. What are we going to be reviewing today? Or to be honest, who are we going to be reviewing today? And that question, you already know, it's in the title itself. But anyways, we are going to be reviewing the epic Ragnar Blackmane. I can't believe I've, again, pushed this off for so long, but we're going to have to do it because I think that Ragnar Blackmane is going to be an epic action figure, and there's nothing to do but to get to that review.
Oh! Oh! Oh!
Ragnar Blackmane. This guy looks certifiably badass. All right, let's take a look at Ragnar's beautiful wolfy head. So this is pretty much a flat black. You get to see some highlighting going on up here. Let's just take a look at his face. So you can see a ton of shading going on here in the deep creases and recesses on his face. There is a very prominent scar that runs from his forehead all the way down to his cheek and captures the look of the miniature really nicely. More highlighting going on with his head, which is really nice to see. And he has a very intimidating, wolfy fang look about him. I have to say, though, his eyes look a little bit weird in that it may have been screened a little bit too far up the skull. It would have been nice if this particular figure actually had the eyes kind of moved down just a smidge. And probably not all of these action figures have this issue, but that's the one that I got on this one. And so, moving on to the pauldrons. I mean, you can't really call this a pauldron. This is a gigantic friggin' pelt here. This is probably the most detail that I've seen in an action figure in quite a long time. But JoyToy never spared that much expense with the Space Wolves. They pulled out all the stops. This wolf looks visibly intimidating. It's got glowing green eyes. It's got these fangs that are going on over here. There is a lot of character and detail going on. So on the outer edges is a light kind of off-white color. It progresses onto this darker brown color. So there's a bunch of shading going on, a bunch of detail that I absolutely friggin' love on this thing. And then you get to see this area that has a nice metallic gem and some Space Wolf symbols that I don't know exactly what it means. And then moving on to the other side, obviously you have a very, very iconic Space Wolves symbol, and then moves on to the same kind of motif as we saw on the other side. And now we're going to take a look at the center of Ragnar's body, and you can see a bunch of chains that are wrapped around the front of it, which is a very cool touch. You can see a bunch of wolf fangs that are dangling down here, and then there is a brooch or an amulet that is of this bronze color, but it has a nice metallic red color in the middle of it. I'm going to take a quick look at underneath here. There is a wolf skull that has been shaded very nicely with the eye sockets, so there's a bunch of detail. And then looking at the hip area of Ragnar, look at all the different unique type of pouches and color and look that you get from this thing. So you have the twin heads of the wolves right here on the side. This thing almost looks like a UFC belt, which is pretty badass. Taking a look at the unique holster, you can see that this thing has a deep etching to it, so there's more depth and detail. There's also another symbol that's been carved in, so you get like a wolf's tail that follows the same motif of the wolf head here. And finally, we're going to look at his lower region, and oh my god, I'm really impressed with this thing, if I hadn't said that to you before. So you've got a sword type of thing that's been lightly highlighted, and this sword type of thing also kind of looks like a wolf's tail. More amulets of wolf's teeth, And I really like how this area is gold down here. That kind of breaks up the gray of the Space Wolf armor. These wolf claws down here on the toes. Look how cool this thing looks. I'm going to take a quick look at the back. There's really nothing too much to see. It's of your standard Space Marine back. I'm going to take a look at the bolt pistol. And I don't know, he's supposed to actually wield a normal bolt pistol and not a heavy bolt pistol. But regardless, it's of a actually very dark gunmetal type of color. I thought this was going to be lighter. And then obviously you have a purity seal dangling down here. Now let's just take a look at the backpack. Normally I will not spend that much time on the backpack, but this thing just has oodles of stuff on it. Look at these twin wolf heads. You can see that it has been shaded in the recesses of the ears, of the eyes as well. There is so much character in this backpack that I absolutely love. Now, let's take a look at Frostfang. So badass. Obviously, it says Frostfang right here. It's been heavily shaded in the middle of it, so this part really sticks out. I really like the color on this thing. Obviously, this is yellow and stands in the contrast of these wicked blades of this fancy chainsword. And then you can see here on the hilt area, there is a wolf's head and then a very unique looking sword handle and then pommel. And I also like that this thing is a double-sided chainsword. And now, finally, this is the cape to end all capes. Look how gorgeous this thing is. So it looks like you've got a chain back here, and this chain again has a bunch of Space Wolf type of things, more fangs. You get this dark brown color, progresses onto the medium brown in the middle of it, and out the edges is that, again, beige color that mimics the whole entire motif of this action figure. And then it flares out to this red color down here. I love how this color patterning looks. Now you flip this over. This is probably the darkest red that I've seen JoyToy produce thus far, but still, it is shaded very nicely right here in the recesses. So let's just see exactly how Ragnar Blackmane moves. Head is going to pivot 360 degrees. I don't see there of any issue. And then with this arm area, it's going to be 360 degrees ratcheting motion. As usual, double jointed elbow, one time bend, second time bend. This rotates 360 degrees. And then the wrist rotates 360, which has a bunch of wobbling motion. About this area, you can move this 360 degrees. If you really want to, there's another larger ball joint here between the chest region and the torso region that gives you a bunch of wobbling motion like you see here. So about this area, you can get 360 degree motion. I'm not going to push it that far, so I'm just going to push it up here, and then you can push it back. So you can at least get 180 degrees of movement. The knee area, this is the farthest you can bend it, but it's double jointed back here, so you can bend it once and then bend it twice again, like that. So it follows the regular Space Marine action figure movement. This is a wobble at the ankle area, back and forth. And then finally, the toe area has this motion associated with it. The last thing we're going to do is to prepare Ragnar for battle. And obviously, he doesn't have his battle regalia on, and now it's time to do it. So the first thing that we're going to do is give Ragnar his beautiful regal cape, and it goes on like so. And then we're going to secure the cape with the backpack. Done. The next thing that we're going to do is to give Ragnar his bolt pistol. Open up his hands so you can wield the pistol like that. And then reattach. And finally, we will give him Frostfang. We're going to do this. Pop it back on. And there we go. A badass action figure fully reviewed. Oh man, Ragnar Blackmane. This guy is absolutely epic. What do I think about him? I think that he is probably one of the best looking action figures, period, that has ever been produced by JoyToy. And I think that you should get him. And that's it. End of video. No, there's a lot to say on this action figure. They, as in JoyToy, pulled out all the stops on this one. I'm just absolutely floored by just all the regalia, the accessories that are on this action figure that are completely unique to him, as well as unique to the Space Wolves. The face sculpt is absolutely awesome, although I would have liked the eye area to be a little bit more on center, but that's the only little nitpicky point I have this action figure. And then I love how Frostfang looks. You've got a twin-sided chainsword that is huge and badass, and you've got all these different accessories and stuff that makes this action figure just jump out at you. So obviously, you know that I completely endorse this action figure. To be honest, even if you're not a Space Wolves fan, if you're just a fan of Space Marines in general, I would have to say that this is a key action figure to have in your army. I can't believe it actually took me this long to actually get this guy, but after buying him and reviewing him, there are absolutely no regrets in my opinion. So this is your Chapter Master Spoos and Suds signing off again. I really appreciate, again, all the comments and all the likes and subscribers that have been coming aboard to this channel. This channel would not be around if it wasn't for your continued support. If you are not subscribed to this channel and in-depth reviews are your thing, then look no further than this channel and hit that subscribe button for me, please. So keep tuning in, folks. We have more in-depth reviews to go through and more special characters to review as well. So as usual, I'll see you all in the next one.